They used to call me the reluctant YouTuber because truth wasn't easy to speak. But somewhere between silence and revelation, I realized something. It wasn't just about talking, it was about illuminating. My name is Gues the Illuminator, and I'm here to shed light in the age of deception. This ain't about fame, this ain't about fear, it's about waking up a generation that's been put to sleep. It's about truth over trend, light over lies. If you ever question what's really going on, if you ever felt like there's more than what they're showing you, you're not crazy, you're chosen. Welcome to the illumination, the side that still believes light can conquer darkness. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You already know who it is. You ain't got to guess who. You know what I'm saying? It's Guess Who, formerly known as Guess Who, the reluctant YouTuber, as described in the intro. Formerly known as Guess Who, the reluctant YouTuber. Now, I am known as Guess Who, the Illuminator. And tonight we're going to give you the backstory on how I became the Illuminator and how I am no longer known as Guess Who, the reluctant YouTuber. Now, how this started was, it's been about a year or so, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, where I used to go by a moniker named The Visionary. Now, let me give you a backstory on that. There's a series called The Unbreakable series by M. Shyamalan. I forget his last name, but the Unbreakable series consists of Bruce Willis as the overseer in the movie Unbreakable, and Samuel L. Jackson and as Mr. Glass. And then they came out with his own very own movie called Mr. Glass. And then they came out with Split, which had I forget that guy's name that played Professor Xavier in the X-Men, but him. And they were basically superheroes or supervillains that kind of was now non-traditional superheroes or supervillains that you would read about in the comics. And it kind of was like regular people, but they had heightened special abilities. Like Bruce Willis, he was was very tough, very durable. He can go through a train wreck and not be injured. He was very strong. And if he touched you, he could see, like, he could take a bit of your essence and see what you've done. If you are committing crime or stuff like that. So, that was his special ability. You know what I mean? Even to where he'll track you down, if you were committing a crime. And he was called the Overseer. Then you have Mr. Glass, who was the supervillain, you know what I mean? And he was very smart. And he was, he would design different things or create different scenarios. And he was highly intelligent. But his bones was brittle, as opposed to Bruce Willis, whose bone was very durable. His bones was brittle. And if he falls the wrong way, you know, his body would break. So he was called Mr. Glass for that reason. Then you had the Horde, the gentleman that had multiple personalities, and one of the most violent and ruthless personality that he had was called the Beast. And the Beast was, you know, the strongest one that could do the real special abilities, and it was like animalistic like. And he was called the Horde because he had all these different personalities dwelling within him. So I realized that I had a special kind of ability to where I had a very strong sense of discernment, and I could see what most people are not able to see. You know, when I come on the scene, I can basically see and discern what is transpiring in the room. I have a heightened sense of awareness, and where I can read the room very well and read people's personalities and predict what they might do. Kind of like a Hannibal Lecter type, or Agent Will Graham from the Red Dragon, or the Silence of the Lambs. So, and I used that as my vision. My vision was like very open and bright. So I named myself the Visionary. And my then friend at that time, my brother at that time, he had the ability to think of anything, and then it would immediately happen. He could think of eating a cheeseburger, and then somebody would bring up a cheeseburger or offer him one, you know what I'm saying? Or one time he told me he thought of a celebrity and said he was going to meet this celebrity. And then they wound up, the scenario shifted, they wound up positioning him to sit right next to him, you know what I mean? And by me having the observation and awareness and the, discernment to discern what that was, I gave him his name, and his name was called Manifesto. Why? Because things would immediately or manifest in his life, as he thinks about it. But it was based off these characters. What I was thinking of was calling or getting in touch with M. Shyamalan, whatever, the producer of the Unbreakable series, and introducing him these two characters based on myself and my then friend as the Visionary and Manifesto. Then one day I just started thinking, like about a year and a half ago, I was like, wait a minute. When I started thinking about the Visionary, I was like, nah, that's not quite accurate. It's cool because I have vision, I could see. And, I could see things that other people are not able to see. So I'm thinking, since it's vision, it's visionary and all of that type of stuff. But so one day I was like, no, that's not it. I was like, wait a minute, that's not the fitting name. Let me think of it, try to describe myself for what it really is. So I was saying, like, I had a vision, but I can see in the dark. It was like I was like nocturnal, and I'm a nocturnal person anyway, a night owl. So I was like, man, but I could see things that other people can't see. And a lot of people always come to me and ask me, what do I think about this scenario or this person and things like that. And I'll be able to, give them an understanding that's where they can't see it. So I was like, what does that mean? Man, I was like, man, like I have like built-in night vision goggles, or whatever people are trying to hide, I'm able to see and discern. And I was like, wait a minute. It's like I could see at night, then light came. In the darkness, there's light. And then I started focusing on light. then I was like, whatever people are trying to hide or things that are hidden, even when I would observe what's transpiring in world events and stuff like that and things of that nature, I'm able to really see what they're really saying. What they're not saying, I'm able to hear what they're really communicating. And so I was like, man, that's night vision, hidden, light, darkness. Then it came to brightness. Then it came to illuminated. I was like, oh, illuminated. Oh, I'm illuminated. I'm illuminated. So then I just said, all right, since I'm going to be this superhero character, what's going to be my name? And I said, you know what? I'm the Illuminator. When I said that, that's when it was like, oh, that fit. I was like, oh, you're the Illuminator. So, you know what I mean? And when I came to that realization, I was like, that will be my proper name. Because they were calling the characters in the Unbreakable different names, like the Beast, and, you know, and they have regular names. But eventually it would be their real name, which would be Bruce Willis as the Overseer, Samuel L. Jackson as Mr. Glass, and the other gentleman as the Horde. My then friend at that time, because he can think of something and it would manifest. I gave him that name and named him Manifesto. And it fit him, you know what I mean? It fits him. And he ran with it and understood it. And by the way, he like an anti-hero, but, you know, we're going to that a little bit later. But, yeah. But me, as for myself, I was the Illuminator. Because, you know, and I'm really that, like in real life, you know? So, and I was like, that's a more fitting name. Not knowing that there was an actual person that was called the Illuminator. And just recently, like last week, I discovered this person. So I was looking up, you know, words like hidden as I was trying to refocus and redirect my stance in the channel. And I came across a historical figure by the name of Gregory the Illuminator. And I was like, Gregory the Illuminator? That was like a premonition or a revelation of where I wanted to go with the channel, you know? And so when I looked him up, and I was like, oh my God, his story is so fascinating. And what really got me is his name is Gregory. His name is Gregory the Illuminator. I go by Gues who, but Gregory is my name. My name is Gregory, first name, Gregory. And I called myself the Illuminator. And when I came across that information, I was like, wow, that just lit up a whole new light bulb, you know, a whole new revelation, or what I like to call an illumination or revelation, you know, about what I need to be doing. So I was like, dang, I was reluctant to do YouTube for a long time because I really didn't have the proper direction. Like, I knew I needed to do something. It was like God was calling me on the phone, telling me to do and start a YouTube channel along with everybody else. It was like, you could talk good, you need to do a YouTube channel. But I was waiting, and I was like, for situations to be different and all that. And they always say, don't ever wait for a perfect situation, because there will never be a perfect situation. So I kept it real. I said, look, I'm doing this, but I'm very reluctant doing this because I was like, man, I'd rather be the topic. You know what I mean? And you know, my first love is music. You know, I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? That's why I go by Guess Who, the rapper. And so I was like, okay, let me try it and do the reluctant YouTuber and see how that worked. And you know, kind of the direction was going this. I would do content about, you know, this particular thing and that particular thing, but I kind of, you know, not all over the place, you know what I mean? But I didn't really have a niche in the game until I discovered Gregory the Illuminator. And I was like, oh my God. So I dug into his story, and I'm going to share his story with y'all, give my commentary on Gregory the Illuminator and how he impacted me to no longer be reluctant in doing your mission for the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So let me get into it. Let's record it real quick. Let me start this.
But today we're going to start with a man who is commemorated on September 30th. His name is Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Now, Saint Gregory the Illuminator, but today we're going to start with a man who is commemorated on September 30th. His name is Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Now, Saint Gregory the Illuminator is the one who would end up converting what would become the oldest Christian nation in the world, that of Armenia. Now, he was born in the year 240 AD, and he was actually sent as a matter of escaping, actually, by someone who saved him, to Cappadocia. And the reason for this escape is because his father had become involved in a plot which was to essentially kill the king of Armenia. Now, Gregory, after he had been sent off to Cappadocia, was instructed in many things concerning the Christian faith, was very devout, and was very, very intelligent. Now, as time went on, he eventually went back and became Christian faith, was very devout, and was very, very intelligent. Now, as time went on, he eventually went back and became a follower of the king Tiridates III, who actually was the son of the man whom Gregory's father had plotted against to kill, and indeed did kill.
All right, so y'all heard the story so far. Gregory, when he was younger, was moved to Cappadocia, and then grew up in the Christian faith, and then returned back home to Armenia to work under the king Tiridates, the king at that time. But in the beginning, he said that Gregory established the oldest Christian church in history, and that is the church that was established in Armenia. Now, his father was the reason why Gregory had escaped when he was young, because it was his father that killed the king at that time. It was with a group of people that conspired to kill the king, and indeed killed the king at that time, and Gregory escaped to Cappadocia. Come on.
Tiridates was a very, very entrenched pagan. And although Gregory had done everything in his power to please Tiridates, and had helped him in so many ways, always doing the things that he told him to do as regards the state, as regards to the military, whatever it might be, Tiridates insisted at one point that Gregory, who again had been a very devout Christian, abandon his Christian beliefs and begin sacrificing to idols. This, of course, all occurred on the early reign of Diocletian. And Diocletian was no friend of the Christians. Well, Gregory, of course, refused. He said, look, I've done everything for you. I will continue to do everything for you because, you know, I admire you and I like being in your service, but I cannot deny Christ, whom I have believed in all my life, because that would mean everlasting punishment for me, and I simply won't do it. Well, as we hear in so many of these early lives, Tiridates put Gregory through an unbelievable series of tortures that should have killed any man, but the Lord protected him and kept him healed each time he would go through some of these incredible tortures, till at one point Tiridates began to flatter him and would offer him even more honors, but Gregory said, no, I'm not going to deny him.
So, as I was listening to this and seeing what Gregory went through, he was very nice to the king, did everything, admired him, did everything that he wanted to do. And but the king was a devout pagan, just like Gregory was a devout Christian. And he put him, as he refused to participate in any pagan worship. And this angered the king. And I'm going to put in the description another video which goes into detail on the tortures that they did to Gregory, that this king did to him. He put him through all kind of madness, even pouring some substance like acid down his throat, where God, the Holy Spirit, protected him even from tortures that drastic. And but Gregory refused. He was like, me and him share a similar attitude to, there is a term I always say, the ing in the word going stands for I'm not going. I'm not going. So, if it's against the Most High, if it's against Christ, I'm not going. If it's against, my principles and convictions that I have in my spirit, I'm not going. You know what I mean? I'm not going for whatever you're trying to pitch to me that's contrary to how I feel about my own principles and my own standards, and especially the tenets of God and the laws of God. We're just not going to do it. It's just like something that's built in us and innate with us. And there's, I'm like, wow. And he had that same thing in him. And that means, like, no matter if it's going to cost you your life, tortured, ostracized, or, led to and fro, being looked at as an outcast or humiliated, or, even me, in my case, being homeless and all those above. No, I didn't go through torture like that and stuff like that. But I have had ups and downs in my life as a result of me having this type of attitude. I'm a rebel in reverse to anything that is opposed to how I believe how I should be living and things of that nature of this world system. And I'm just not going. So some people have that resolve about them, but Gregory really had it. It's like, it was like I was divinely named to be named after this person who went through this horrific tortures. And it ain't done. It's not done. He did more. Come on.
And so Tiridates had him cast into a pit, a filthy pit, for 15 long years. And during this time, Tiridates became so incensed about what had happened with Gregory that he became possessed. In fact, he was so possessed that his appearance was said to resemble that of a swine, even his hands and his feet. Now, Tiridates' sister, who was understanding about Gregory to a certain extent and began to think that he was a holy man, came and said, unless you get him out of this pit, you're never going to have any chance for being cured. It's simply not going to happen. Well,
before he continues on, like I said, that wasn't it. The king Tiridates threw Gregory in a pit. And there's another video under, within the, I might leave a link to that. This pit is called Kor Viop or something like that. And there's people that went into this pit in Armenia. and it has a ladder. You know, they utilize a ladder to get up and down this pit. But within the pit, it describes that it had feces in it. It was dark, and it had serpents and scorpions in it. And they give a full description of what happened to him down there. You know what I mean? In that pit. And they said the king's sister, Pterodactyl's sister, was the one that was feeding him bread and giving him water. But Pterodactyl's was possessed by unclean spirits, so much so his visage, his countenance started resembling a wild boar. You know what I mean? Even his hands and all of that. Sort of like what happened to Nebuchadnezzar in Isaiah, the 14th chapter. His appearance started looking bad. So they was like, unless you free Gregory, you're not going to get free of this. Come on.
Tiridates eventually did release Gregory from that pit, and Gregory was said to be black as soot from living down there for so long.
Wow.
But Tiridates also maintained that he wanted to be cured from this terrible possession that was afflicting him. And he said, even if it's only my hands and feet, will you please do something and ask your God to restore me? And this eventually did happen. Over a long period of time, Gregory was able to convince Tiridates of the truth of the Christian faith, and Tiridates indeed became one of the most benevolent rulers that Armenia had ever seen. In the meanwhile, he was supporting Gregory in all the things that he was doing, including the uncovering of the relics of the martyrs Repsimia and Guiani, and the 32 virgins who had been killed along with these two. And Gregory built a church in their honor, found the relics, which were whole and incorrupt and sweet-smelling, and buried them properly. And then he began going around preaching the Orthodox faith to everyone in Armenia. He probably converted over 1 million people by the time his lifetime was up.
Did y'all hear that? Gregory converted over 1 million people by the time his lifetime was up. And I don't know if he covered this part already, but Gregory in the beginning had to flee to Cappadocia because his father murdered the king at that time. Turns out that Tiridates, that was Tiridates' father, who was murdered by or unalived by Gregory's father. That's why he had to leave Armenia to Cappadocia. Ain't that crazy? Come on.
And in all this, he had the support of King Tiridates, who was now completely restored to health and was helping Gregory to build churches and doing everything that he wanted him to do. Now, Gregory, early in his life, before all of these things began to happen, actually had married and had 2 sons. One of his sons became another archbishop in Armenia and was actually able to be in attendance at the first ecumenical council under the Emperor Constantine in the year 325 AD. Gregory himself, after literally baptizing hundreds of thousands of people and ordaining so many clergymen, because he had been granted the possibility of being an archbishop, even though he initially refused, but because an angel sent by the Lord came to him and King Tiridates saying that this was the will of God, he agreed to it. He had done so much in this regard to establish the Church of Armenia that he has been called the Illuminator. So by the prayers of our Holy Father, Gregory the Illuminator, enlightener of Armenia, may our Lord Jesus Christ make us equally zealous in the things that he has shown us.
So, there you have it, man. Thus is the history of Gregory the Illuminator. And once I got that confirmation, it seemed like it was I became illuminated by that story by the fact that I have a connection to the original Gregory the Illuminator. And I felt like I'm a spiritual descendant of Gregory the Illuminator by not only name but in deed and in spirit as well. So with that being said, I was like, okay, I was reluctant to do all of this. But there may be souls or people, and I always understood this part. There may be souls and people that I'm connected to might see my content as it goes in this new direction. It goes in this new direction to where they might be converted or illuminated to the truth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the Black Messiah, you know what I'm saying? And to come to, the spiritual knowledge of all truth, which is, needed in this age of deception. So what did that do? That made me change the name of the channel and the total focus of the channel. You know what I'm saying? And let me look this up real quick. So it gave me a whole new revelation of the channel and the direction of where it was going to, where it's going, to where let me see, to where now I have a new focus on the channel, to where I can have a mission to be in search for other illuminators that are out there that are just like me, you know what I mean? And so I created and renamed the channel, instead of Guess Who, the reluctant YouTuber, to now is Guess Who, the Illuminator. Guess Who, the Illuminator. And then my mission is to reach other people and illuminate them, and they can become illuminators like Gregory the Illuminator, you know what I mean? And we can have a community. And so I did a lot of research on how I can get the channel directed, and what I am covering in the channel, and what the channel is about now, and the description of the channel. So let me read to you the description of the channel. So this is what we're doing now. This is like, welcome to Guess Who, the Illuminator, a channel dedicated to shedding light in the age of deception. You know what I mean? And here we dive into hidden truths, covering biblical prophecies, false doctrines, government agendas, secret societies, current events. They say global cover-ups. I like to say at this channel, worldwide cover-ups. And we cover mental health and self-mastery, because you're going to need all of that to deal with it. As a result of becoming the new Illuminated channel, that gave me, since I'm also a lyricist and an artist, I have a music group called the Illuminated Music Group. And now I have my music, it's going to be on my channel, the Illuminated Music Group, and I'm going to have my clothing line and merchandise called Hustle Valley, where I am from. See, the Illuminators, the music group and the film company, that's who I am. But Hustle Valley is a spinoff of Hudson Valley region of New York State and New York City. Is where I'm actually from. The Orange County, Newburgh, New York is in the Hudson Valley of New York City or New York State. But it's Hustle Valley, because a lot of us come in while we're in the low state, we hustle. So, but the Illuminator is who I am. But you can get your merchandise, clothing, and for Hustle Valley, and I have, you know, I'll be having all of those, you know, available to you. So I just wanted to come up here and explain why I changed the name, because I've changed the direction of who I am myself by becoming illuminated and saying, look, I'm no longer reluctant to do this. I'm more dedicated to doing this because it's a refocus and a repurpose of the channel. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of us that are illuminated, and if you feel like you're a part of the illumination, you might feel like you've been a outcast or misunderstood, and you tired of what's going on and what's going on in the world and what are they not telling us, and you have that kind of mindset, then this channel is for you. You know what I'm saying? This channel is for you, because this is what we're going to be doing. You know what I mean? Illuminate the Block Fridays. We got it all mapped out. So I just wanted to come here and give a explanation on what's going on now and why you see the change, and to look forward up to the type of content that's going to be on the channel. So I hope that blesses you, and I hope it more so illuminates you and in your own life, and look out for more content of the channel. It's no longer the reluctant YouTuber. I finally done picked the phone up, answered the call, and got illuminated myself, and I'm here to illuminate and find a community of illuminators. So, and I also have a movie script, a book / movie script called Two Lights, the world, the war within the illumination. Let me give a brief explanation of my book / film / movie. You know what I mean? It's about the illumination. It's something I created. It's fictional, but yet non-fictional. And within the illumination, there's two sides. You have the Illuminati, which they represent the false light, and you have the Illuminators. That's the remnant or rebellion within the illumination, and they represent the true light. So it's a tale of, you know, of the powers that be, of back and forth, and what they're doing, their agenda to, you know, bring everybody else into subjection and imprisonment and enslavement, while the illuminators are liberators, truth seekers, and truth tellers, and they have healing powers and miraculous powers. It's exciting, but I'm gonna get more in depth in that in another video. But I want y'all to stay tuned for that. So this is great things gonna be happening on this channel as the Illuminator. So y'all stay tuned, man. So, you know, this is my closing. I say, I hope y'all all have a blast past while now and a greater later, and live the life as your design, so you can have a good time for a lifetime, and live the life of his design, and the illumination of his light guide you for the rest of your lifetime. And this Guess Who the Illuminator signing off, aka Guess Who the Rapper signing off. Y'all stay tuned for my other channels. Go check out Guess Who the Watchman, where we'll really get deep into government conspiracies, things that are very harsh and a very power packing, you know, for that channel, Guess Who the Watchman, and, you know, the Illuminator music group, Illuminator music channel, that'll be out very soon. So with that being said, I love y'all. Peace.